It is time to tell President Tinubu that enough is enough. Wow, and why is it time? Who is saying this and what is prompting this? That's the question. Who is saying this? That it is time to tell Mr. Tinubu that enough is enough. The question is enough of what? Enough of what? Is it enough of looting or what is enough? That is the question. Right? So let's dive into the detail to understand exactly the perspective for this message. Nigerians being led to believe by President Tinubu's spin doctors that things will get better under the present administration should wake up and smell the coffee. It is time to draw the line. It is almost a year now since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been in office, and from the policies and administrations it leaves the unmistakable impression that the well-being of the Nigerian people is at the least of his concerns. So it is no rocket science that one certainly does not need to decipher that thus far into its tenure, the Tinubu administration is on a trajectory of unprecedented mass pauperization and impoverishment of the Nigerian people. So on the flip side, the administration seems hell-bent on transferring our patrimony into the hands of an identified tiny 1% of Nigerians in the president's circle of influence, thereby creating a two-speed Nigeria made up of the vast poor and few rich. Oh boy. The principal policy instrument through which the administration has been doing this is the removal of subsidies. President Tinubu told us he was removing subsidies on petroleum products because it amounted to a misapplication of resources in which the government commits huge sum of money to supply petroleum products, which benefits only a few well-connected people and players in the sector, who invariably do not supply the products but pocket the money. So the president said the money thus saved will go into providing social and infrastructural services that will benefit indigent Nigerians directly. But it has now been established convincingly a couple of months ago by the IMF and World Bank, and as recently as last week by CEO of Renoye, Gabriel Obeche, that the government is still paying subsidies amounting to about 2 times over and above what was being paid previously. So in effect, the subsidy component that President Tinubu removed was the one that provided succor for the Nigerian people, replacing it with so-called palliatives that merely provide temporary relief but are unsustainable. So the subsidy on petroleum products he now pays under the table goes to people in his circle. So who is deceiving who? Yeah, that's a very big question. Similarly, when the administration increased the electricity tariff recently, it was hinged on the huge subsidies the government pays to the sector to sustain power distribution and supply in the country. But when the previous government had told us that it had withdrawn the huge subsidies on electricity, what then is the Tinubu administration telling us? Okay. It had been subsidies telling us it had been subsidies to a sector that had been privatized and expected to run on market principles. Again, it is clear that the administration has been paying private electricity companies with public funds by the new electricity tariff. The administration is transferring and imposing on the people of Nigeria the burden of paying to sustain the owners of the electricity sector in business for their inefficient services. The corollary to all this is the consequences The corollary of all this is the rising inflation rate recorded at nearly 34% by the latest figures from the National Bureau of Statistics. It reflects the ever-rising prices of commodities and services, which had exceeded the reach of the Nigerian people, occasioned by the policies of the Tinubu administration. To make matters worse, the price of petroleum and electricity are projected to shoot up before the end of the year, adding more hardship to the already overburdened people of Nigeria. So if Nigerians are under any illusions that things will get any better, as President Tinubu's publicists have been leading us to believe, they had better think again. President Tinubu is riding on the belief that his presidency is the reward owed him for his contribution to installing democracy. After years of struggle to oust the military from power, that is the underlying idea of his Emilocon proclamation. So it may well be so, but the fight for democracy had different fathers and followed different trajectories. So the records have it that at the time President Tinubu fought his democracy struggle from the comfort of his butthole abroad, where he was also conducting his private business. But it must be said that President Tinubu did not experience the inside of a cold, dark underground cell covered in filth like some of us did. He also was not paraded around DSS and police detention centers crowded with deadly courtrooms and other criminal types like a good many of us choose travails in the struggle for democracy, where we are for the benefit of Nigerian people, not for the pages of newspaper. His role in the democratic struggle, though notable, was however grossly over-embellished by his paid publicists who promoted it beyond what he contributed. That, however, does not grant him the sole right to disdainfully treat Nigeria and Nigerians as economic chattels, as he currently is doing. Nigerians should realize that President Tinubu is embarking on a course of action that is likely to snap the already fragile social and economic fabric of the Nigerian of the country, if we let him. He had distorted the economic framework of the country by disrupting the flow of economic activities in both the real and informal sectors. So he has jacked up interest rates, making the cost of investment and businesses prohibitive. He has eventually depleted our foreign reserve in a fallen and foolish attempt to prop up the naira against major currencies. And most damaging of all is that he has embarked on a war against the subsidies that provided the cushion for business to thrive and for business to thrive and for millions of Nigerians to have a sense of social belonging. No administration in the history of Nigeria has proven to be so anti-people than this administration. Not even the military dictators that have ruled this country have threatened us with such a scale of contempt and disdain. So from the president right now down to his cut and paste policy wonks, Nigerians are people who can accept anything, even glaring incompetence mixed with condensation and move on without complaints or pushback. Now that Nigerians have seen and experienced the trajectory of the Tinubu administration and its intention to further subject us to continuous misery, we should borrow a leaf from what President Tinubu did in the past. We fought oppressive governments, military, and civilian for democracy. Yes, he fought oppressive governments, military, and civilian for democracy and social justice in this country. Now that having ascended the power, he is seen to be embarking on a similar path of economic and social injustice. Nigerians must in many ways tell him enough is enough. We will not tolerate your oppressive company, your oppressive economic and social policies anymore. Now, this guy had just written this long story. He did not put his name. So how do we know who has written this? That is the question. I thought we said this is a jealousy write-up and has no ground. And Agbadorian has responded there. And somebody say, Ileyasu, for the past 8 years of squalid and monumental disruptive rule of Bubu, you were deaf and dumb. Why are you just waking up now? That's the question. Another person say you were unable to say anything in a regime of highest borrowing, highest insecurity, bedeviling our country, highest ethnicity, highest religious bigotry, highest printing of 30 trillion naira without correspondence, productivity, and highest nothing to show for it. Highest nothing to show for it, not be lie. I thought that your rights are restructuring is the answer to this Nigerian problem. We agree, but are they ready to restructure? No. They are not ready to restructure Nigeria. And somebody say, can you imagine the writer? I wonder where he was during 80 years of destructive Dauraman, cattle headers in power. Now he is just waking up, senseless write-up. And that's the truth. Tinubu should return full autonomous policies, resourcing, policing, police resourcing and engineering status to our 36 states. And so we say, where have we been? Yes, you cannot continue to deceive us, Tinubu. Okay. So you have said enough is enough. I don't know how that translates, but you didn't put your name. Thank you for listening. Let's have your comment and see if what the writer is saying is correct or not.